This one? I'm not here yet.
Hey you guys, how are you guys? Hang on just one second. We're still connecting on Instagram. Yeah, that's probably getting that side button. Okay, you guys are live here on the Dixie Belle Paint Facebook page and almost on Instagram. Instagrammers, hang on for me. It's Thursday night and you guys are live here with Brushed by Brandy. So this is my regular time. If you guys were here a few minutes ago, I did a live earlier this evening too, and we did a little resin pour with Dixie Belle Paint, but now we're going to paint furniture with Dixie Belle Paint. That was all the fun, and now we're going to talk business right now. We're going to talk something a little more nitty-gritty, but it's super essential. I've been seeing so many questions on this topic lately, so I'm kind of excited to tackle it. We're going to talk about painting whites. We're going to talk about yellowing in whites and what causes yellowing. So I think this will be really a good thing to talk about. So you guys, my husband Sean is here. I apologize for being a few minutes late. We had to go retrieve a child.
Comments to it. I forget.
Swipe.
There we go.
Okay, we got comments back.
All right.
We're ready to go. Okay. So we're going to talk about painting whites tonight. We're going to talk about putting on, priming them, putting on a base coat, choosing when we go through it tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the piece we're going to work on, and I think we're also going to do this one, we can do this one start to finish because I don't have a customer for this piece, so it would be a good one for that. So it's a little oak end table. It's a circle shape, and it's made by Thomasville, and it's solid wood. So what I'm noticing in this piece is, number one, oak tends to be a bleeder. So I can tell you guys right away that if I'm going to paint this piece white, this would be a piece I would want to protect. So that's the number one thing you want to consider when you're choosing white as a color, that you need to look at what your surface is. Now things that don't bleed, if you're painting laminate from IKEA, it's not going to bleed because it's plastic. But if you're painting pretty much any variety of wood with white, I would recommend always priming it with Dixie Belle Boss. So what I'm going to put on here is I'm going to put on here Dixie Belle Boss. Now when I'm painting whites and I'm painting over wood, so I know I need to prime it, I'm going to choose Boss in white. And the reason is it's going to save me a coat of paint later. So if I choose Boss in clear, it will still work. It will still block the stains later, but I'll have to use an extra coat of paint. Whites tend to take more coats and more coverage to get full coverage than other colors do.
All right, so hopefully the video is better on Instagram. I just switched over, so hopefully that's working out. Let me know.
Sorry, you guys, we did back-to-back lives tonight, so it means we're a little bit frantic getting everything going, and we had to pick up a kid in between there. So Sean just left and drove away from our house for a little bit to go retrieve a child. Okay, so this little end table, I'm going to start out with a coat of Dixie Belle Boss in white, because I know that I want to put white on here. So I've cleaned this well with Dixie Belle White Lightning. And now I'm laying on my Boss. Now Boss goes on just like a paint. And it's going to create a barrier in between my wood and my paint that keeps them from coming in contact with each other. It's going to encapsulate my wood so that any discoloration that might come from the wood into my paint is going to be stopped at that Boss. So Boss stands for blocks odors, stops stains. Bleed through is a stain. Bleed through is the tannins in your wood coming through your wood and seeping into your paint.
Here, I'm going to check, sorry, I'm checking signal on everything because on Facebook too.
I'm going to tip my table up a little bit just so I have a better view of it. And when I'm doing pieces, I like to look at them from all different directions. So I'll tip pieces onto their back, onto their side if possible, so that I can see up under the lip and down under here and make sure that I'm getting all of my areas. So Boss lays on really nicely. It lays on like a paint does. So I can brush this on. You'll notice I'm using my good Dixie Belle brushes. This is my Dixie Belle Mini. And because this is a base for my paint, I want to keep my brush strokes nice and even, going in long linear lines. If I need to, if it starts feeling sticky, I can use, I'm going to try to balance this on my leg. I can use a little bit of water.
So while you do that, do you want some bowling pins too, since you're going to balance it on your leg? Thanks, Danielle, for letting me know. Signal's better.
Brushed by Brandy Circus. Oh, thank you, you guys. I appreciate you being tolerant. You didn't miss
That's
anything.
on the gram. Now we're going to go looking over on... Somebody's got to be loyal to me and tell me that I'm either screwing something up or...
No, nobody is loyal to you.
This is very true.
Okay, so you can use a little mist of water. If you feel like your boss is sticking a little bit, just mist your surface, brush that water in, and then just be careful because you've added that tiny bit of water. You don't want to add so much that you're going to dilute the product.
I'm just not getting comments for some reason.
Swipe.
All right, thank you.
Did you get it back?
There we go. All right. People just don't want to chat. I got you. All right. Thank you, ladies.
They're not in the mood for your craft tonight.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to tip this up again, and I'm going to get down here on the bottom. So it lays on nice and smooth. I got a little brush hair in there. I'm just going to pull that out with my finger. And
thank you, Samantha. We're looking good all the way in Australia. She wants to know how the boulders turned out.
Oh, they turned out great. Only we had to fire our landscaper.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because he just wasn't even showing up. Sean will be super eager to talk about that, I'm sure. Okay, so I got up under this lip. That looks good. We get this little spot right here. This is all covered, and I've got nice long linear brush strokes. So if you feel like your brush is sticking, add that little bit of water. This is the base for your paint, you guys. So your paint is only going to lay on as smooth as you get your boss on too. Okay, so I'm just working my way around this table. See, I've showed you guys this before, but I can lay on my paint as messy as I want, my boss in this case. And then when you're done, just come back and clean those brush strokes up. The nice soft hand. So, dig it into your corners, get it all over wherever you need it, and then come back and clean up those brush strokes as your area. Same thing over here. Want to get in along the edges here.
It's a little different for me. I usually don't swipe up and down. I usually go left or right.
Left.
Just depends on what they look like.
Yeah. I don't think it's you doing the swiping.
Anywho.
Okay, so I'm going to get in here along all these edges of my molding. So, when you're doing whites, if you prime first, this is going to help me. This coat of primer is going to help me with this finish all the way through to my clear coat, you guys. This primer right here is going to save me yellowing in my paint. It's going to save me yellowing in my clear coat. This, by starting with the proper base for your whites, this is what's going to keep your whites clean and pure white.
And what is that by chance?
This is Dixie Belle Boss. So it is a primer. It is a stain and odor blocking primer. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to get around the lip of this table.
No lip.
It's not giving me any lip about me getting this lip.
Good.
Okay, right along that edge. And the rest of this table I've already coated in 2 coats of Boss. Can you bring me a sanding sponge out of my
my gosh, I can't do everything here. This is ridiculous.
Can you just do
Can I just do one thing?
Do something though? Can we just one? Okay, so I've already coated the rest of this table in 2 coats of Boss. Got a little drip right here. I'm just going to get with my finger now. 2 coats is what's recommended for coverage. When I'm painting whites, I don't mess around with that, you guys. That 2 coats is going to save me grief later in the future. When I go to put my paint on and you see that discoloration in whites, you can start seeing it right away too. And it is devastating because at that point you've got a coat of paint on and you've got to come back and start over again at primer.
So what happens if this is your base coat and you're going for a distressed look? Mm-hmm. How do you basically hide the white that's underneath of it? So
if you're doing white, you'll have a coat of white underneath. It won't matter, right? It's going to be the same color. The Boss comes in clear. Boss comes in clear, you guys. So if you want to distress through and you don't want to see this layer of white, put clear Boss under. And then even if it takes you an extra coat of paint, you're not going to see that white underneath. So it's totally an option that works. And you'll have to weigh that depending on the finish that you want. So the whites that Dixie Belle comes in, this is Dixie Belle Drop Cloth, which is a warm white. And Fluff is the next whitest. And then Cotton is the most pure of the Dixie Belle whites. So it is really hard to tell these up against each other to tell the differences because they're so subtle, but you notice the subtlety of whites. It's like when you put a certain light bulb in your house and the light that it casts is different. So you'll notice that Drop Cloth is a warm, creamy white. Fluff is a softer white. It's got a little bit of gray undertones. And then Cotton is the purest of the Dixie Belle whites. So I think on this one, I think I'm going to use Drop Cloth. I really like drop cloth, so I'm going to give it a good shake. So even though this is not a pure white, I still don't want those stains coming through. Even light colors, if I was doing a soft color like sawmill gravy or tea rose or driftwood, those are still colors that if you're going to get stains through your paint, they're going to show them really easily, more easily than say caviar would show them. Okay, so now I'm going to come and I've got my, this is fine.
This is, you want, now you want another one. Throw me one? No, I don't.
Can you give me a rag? Yeah, it's one of those. The reason I'm asking for this softer sanding sponge, this is the Dixie Belle sanding sponge, and this is just a regular store-bought block. And I like these for some things. If I'm sanding flat surfaces, these are great, these corners, but it's got no flex to it. This is going to let me get all these ridges and everything around here. So I do just lightly brush my coat of Dixie Belle Boss. And that just gets any dust out of my surface. I'm not trying to sand through it because remember, this is a barrier. This is the safety. This is the protection between my paint and my wood. I don't want to go through my boss. So you aren't trying to brush aggressively.
You ever use or call for an instance where you need Boss and Slick Stick together?
Okay, great question. Boss and Slick Stick together should be used rarely, if ever. Rarely, if ever. So the only situation I can think of that it would be really appropriate to use them is if you've got a surface with odors that's also slick. Okay? Because if you do one of two things. You're either going to scuff sand and boss, or you're going to slick stick. Okay? Now, if you use them together, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not going to hurt anything, okay? So I don't want you to be afraid of using them together. But it's an extra product, an extra step that you may not have to do. So you either scuff sand your piece to get rid of that slick, and you put boss on it, or you use your slick stick. So like I said, the only situation I can think of that it would be appropriate is if you've got odors and a slick surface. So then you're not using your boss to stop stains, you're using it to stop the odors. Slick stick and boss do not do double duty, okay? Boss will not, boss is not for gripping, and slick stick is not going to stop your stains. They don't do double duty. So you're not going to hurt anything if you use them together. But think about that. Can I scuff sand this to get rid of my slick surface? How slick is it really? Usually it's not real wood if it's that slick. Just messed up a spot I just did. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Just to
now, dry time on Boss before you apply anything.
Okay, so I do wait a full 24 hours. I wait a full 24 hours before I come back with my paint, okay? Dry times are really important, especially for the effectiveness of primers. You want to make sure that you're following the instructions. If you want that full effectiveness, make sure that you're following the instructions. There are instructions on the container. They both, Slick Stick and Boss, recommend 2 coats and 24 hours in between coats. So now I'm going to take my Dixie Belle drop cloth. This is 2 coats of Boss. And I can brush this right onto here. I think I'm going to shade a little bit around these ovals, these little boxes here on this table. I even thought about adding something in the center of them. I'm not quite sure what it would be yet. They're kind of little frames though.
A picture of your favorite person.
Yeah, probably pictures of myself. Oh, you meant you? Sorry. Yeah, that would be. I mean, that would be great too.
Laser lights in the background, me looking in the distance.
Maybe those pictures that come with the picture frames. Those people are really attractive.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Okay, so now I can lay on my drop cloth, and I'll do 2 coats of this too. So whites can tend to take usually 3 coats if you don't have that primer underneath. So it's saving me a coat of paint. So think about that when you're sitting there going, gosh, I hate that I have to prime this piece. It's taking me twice as long. You would have had to do it in paint to get coverage anyways. If you're going to be selling the piece, upcharge for whites. You guys, they take more products. They take more precautions. Whites are not easy finishes to do. So if somebody comes and they say, I want this mahogany dresser done in pure white, tell them it's going to cost twice as much, okay? Mahogany is another wood that's known to bleed. So I'm going to sit here while I'm brushing this coat on and talk to you guys. Let's talk a little bit about getting just a clean coat of paint. So Dixie Belle paint is a nice thick paint, and that's great because it gives you great coverage. But if you're trying to brush it, you're going to get stickiness sometimes. You're overworking it. I have to work it into all these crevices. And then when I come back, it's a little bit sticky now. A mist of water on your surface. Some people like to mist their brush, and that's okay too. I usually mist my surface and work that water in, and it's going to save you the headache of those brush strokes. So it is a thick paint, and because it's a thick paint, it gets great coverage, phenomenal coverage. But sometimes you need a little bit of water. Climate makes a huge difference with that. I probably use more water in California than some other climates do. It gets hot here. Where you're painting, are you painting inside your house? Are you painting out in your backyard shed? Makes a huge difference. I'm redoing this spot right here because I needed to get into this crevice, so I just added a little bit of water, and then I can come back and brush over it. If I didn't add water, then I'm going to be brushing through paint that I put on a couple minutes ago, and it's going to have started getting sticky. So a little mist of water, and I'm using those same long, even brush strokes. Not stopping in the middle, making sure I get all my crevices. Little mist of water. It just helps your paint glide over the surface easier. Dixie Belle is a water-based paint. It's friendly to water. You don't want to add so much that you're creating a big soupy mess on your piece, but just enough that it glides over the surface. I'm going all the way from the top to the bottom, so even if I come around here and I dig all this in, I want to get all these edges. Okay, I've got all that trimmed out, and now I'm going to come back and just clean it up with a nice...
I was waiting for that Fireball June, somebody to notice. You got the seat sitting over there in the box.
Oh.
And I can't
I don't like that
shy away from that one on camera.
You know why? Because I'm trying to compare it to my old one, and I thought, oh, I'll replace it. This one's getting a little squeaky. I probably need to oil the wheels and stuff. I thought, oh, I'll just grab it. I don't like that one. I'm going to stick with my old one. Brush by Brandy does not like change.
What?
No.
It's so weird.
Shocking. I'm the girl that used to get mad at work if they moved my desk around.
Oh, mad?
It was the end of the world if my view changed.
I remember those calls.
Yeah, they're making me move.
Tears. Yeah.
Right. Who works in an office environment and you have to move your desk all the time? And I would be bewildered. Like, we just moved our desks a month ago, and you spend 2 days moving desks. It's so much lost productivity. I never understood the point of it. It always frustrated me. Okay, so I'm going to get all into my crevices and then long, even brush strokes. So we talked about a little bit about getting a smooth finish with your Dixie Belle. Your brush absolutely makes a huge difference. If I was trying to do this with a chip brushes are cheap little 75-cent disposable paint brushes from the hardware store. You can get them from Dixie Belle too.
And I got a really tough one to talk about. Goldie says you are actually a wonderful teacher.
Oh, yay. Maybe I should teach. No, I don't have the patience to teach. Be like, what do you mean you're not getting it? Yeah. I showed it to you for a whole 5 minutes. You should understand this by now.
Learn it on a speed reel.
Yeah. Plus I'm teaching I have to
go.
Teach my kids all the time right now, and that's good enough for me. Missed a little spot down here. Okay, your brush absolutely makes a difference. If you're finding you're getting brush strokes, number one, you need that little bit of moisture. That's going to help you. Number two, get a good brush. Get a good brush. I know the Dixie Belle paint brushes are sold out online. I'm posting on my page every time I see them, so come follow me, and I will tell you when they're up on the page what's available. And that's just because of the COVID supply chain. There are some acceptable substitutions from a hardware store. If you need one of those, feel free to message me and I can help you choose a substitute for them.
Stunt doubles.
In the meantime, hardware store brushes though, you get what you pay for with your brushes. Keep that in mind. I think they're 100% worth the investment in Dixie Belle brushes.
Yeah, Fireball June's got a point.
What's that?
I'd rather move desks than stand on concrete 8 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
All right, way to call it out.
I can't even fathom that. I did have a desk job, so I mean, yeah. Okay, so I'm just working my way around the table, getting a nice smooth finish. And then I can look at this table, and if I want to add anything decoratively, I can. I still am going to need a second coat of my drop cloth on this. Even with my white primer, I still will need a second coat. It's going on really pretty though. Okay, I want to talk to you about yellowing and clear coats. So I've got this beautiful white finish. It's over oak. I protected it with my primer. How do I keep from my clear coat yellowing? Here's the deal, you guys. If you protected it with primer, your clear coat shouldn't yellow. 90% of the time, if you're getting yellowing from your clear coat, it has to do with your preparation underneath.
Going all the way through.
Yep, it's coming through your paint. It is not your actual clear coat itself. Clear coats can leach those wood tannins out of your wood. So even if you got it super clean paint and you didn't see it before your clear coat, it's not the actual clear coat itself, it's leaching it through the wood.
Dang leeches.
Yeah, it's leaching it. So, another thing that can cause yellowing is UV lighting. So, if you put a clear coat out in front of your bay window, it's going to yellow faster. Think about, oh here, this piece behind me. Is this in camera?
Yes and no.
Okay. This piece behind
we can make that.
I'm not going to turn to it because I'm painting, but who has had these pieces ever? All of us girls have this, you know, same bedroom set growing up. This was a white piece of furniture, you guys.
Was it really?
Yeah. When this was bought, these were white. These weren't, I mean, it's yellow.
Did that come out when you were?
Oh yeah, I had one, but mine was actually oak and my dad stained it. So mine was wood. But I was so jealous because my friend had, hers was white, and I thought that was the nicer one.
So weird that I didn't know they were 100-something-year-old pieces.
Yes, antiques. They're antiques.
I really didn't care about the piece. It was the setup.
Okay, so those were white. So go back and look at pieces that had white finishes way back when. They've all yellowed. Okay, whites will tend to yellow through time, but ways that you can accelerate it: put it in front of UV lighting. Let it be real wood that bleeds through your paint. So putting that coat of primer on there is going to stop your yellowing. Okay, it's going to slow it down, prevent that yellowing.
Karen, throwing a shout out to your husband, because I still do the same thing, and I'm here front and center, wondering what you're doing this time.
What am I doing right now?
Yeah,
you don't know what
like every time, like, oh man,
right now?
What's she doing this time?
I'm gonna tip this up and get this little lip right down here. Yeah, I always try to brief Sean on what we're gonna do that night, so he kind of has an idea whether I expect like
perfection.
Stand up, sit down, move left, move right.
Oh, I hate those.
Oh, yeah. I know, I can tell the look on his face when I'm like, well, I'm going to start sitting down and then I'm going to stand. And he's like, all right. He goes with it, but he hates them. So going back to clear coats, it's not the actual clear coat itself. Dixie Belle Boss and their clear coat satin, flat, and gloss are not what you're seeing yellowing. The other way you can get yellowing from them is if you pile them too thick on and they get gobbed up in a corner. Those areas where it's too thick can tend to yellow too. So my lesson for today, you guys, this is all it comes down to with whites. Prime your whites. Prime your whites. That's your yellowing. If you get yellowing on a white, you need to take it back and put a primer on it and then put new paint on it. Okay, that's how you're going to have to fix it. No amount of paint will come back and stop that yellowing from coming through. It's going to come through again. Put more paint on, it's going to come through again. More paint, it will come through again. The only thing that's going to prevent it is creating a barrier, and your paint is not that barrier. Chalky style paints are porous.
Okay? Yeah, 1-2 punch that.
Yeah, they're porous paints. So put that primer on.
Oh, Brittany, I'm telling you, anytime that Brandy says something around the house and, oh, can you, as soon as I hear, can you, like, I just found something else to do.
Yeah, no,
I'm just busy. It does not matter.
I'm going to try to not touch my paint.
So I feel for the hubbies out there.
You know, I'm going to come up here and get around this lip. I don't know what I'm going to do with the top of this yet. I haven't decided if I want to stain it or if I want to pour resin on it. I'm digging resin tops right now. They're kind of my thing.
Now, when you run into the previous situation you were describing, when you get a yellowing effect,
Yes.
would you basically abandon ship and coat it right there with Boss?
Yes.
And then just basically relayer it?
Yep. And then you relayer it. Hopefully you haven't gotten all the way to the point where you've got like a transfer or decoupage or something over your paint. Hopefully it's just the paint. But if you see that, you need to go back and you've got to put a primer on it. And then once you put the primer on it, whether it's Boss, you can spray it with shellac, but shellac is nasty stuff. It stinks. It's gross. If you can use Boss, you can put your coat of Boss on over your paint. Put your clear Boss on, and you'll still see your color through it. But Boss is not a top coat, you guys, so you don't want to, put your paint on and then come back and put Boss on it and call it done. You're still going to need to put fresh paint on it and then a top coat over that. So, going back, prime your whites. Prime your whites. If you're doing white, drop cloth, fluff, cotton, even some of the really lighter colors like sawmill gravy, put Boss underneath those and it will stop them from discoloring. Whether it happens over time or it happens immediately, whites have a tendency to discolor, okay? So create that barrier so that it doesn't happen later. You're going to be miserable when it does. Just put the Boss on. It's not even worth chancing it. I don't even chance it. If I'm not sure, if I look at a piece of wood, I'm like, I don't really know the species of this. Should I Boss it or should I not? Yep, I should.
So I'm going to throw a couple of questions at you. Number one, if someone did not catch the video from prior to this in reference to resin.
It's on the Dixie Belle paint page. You can watch it on the replay.
Now, next one. Do you ever recommend throwing shellac on before you start layering anything?
Shellac is just another option for Boss. It does the same thing. Shellac creates the barrier just like Boss does. Shellac is totally functional, but it's nasty stuff. It's toxic. You have to put a mask on to breathe it. I'm out here painting Boss. I don't have the odors. It goes on much smoother. Shellac is watery. It gets drippy. So if you're using like your Zinsser Bin primer is a shellac based primer.
Thank you for answering that, Dixie Belle. I was coming up to that one too.
If you're using shellac, you need to put a mask on. It stinks. It's drippy and watery. You don't want to put it on with your good brushes. So it's an alternative, yes, and it's totally functional. It's just not as nice of a product to work with as Dixie Belle Boss is. A lot of stain blocking primers that you find at the hardware store, they say blocks stains. They don't, you guys. You need a shellac-based primer or Dixie Belle Boss. A lot of those water-based stain blocking primers from the hardware store are meant for things like painting with latex paint. It's not the appropriate product. So a lot of those water-based primers, if it's not Zinsser Bin or shellac or Boss, don't trust it. Don't trust it. It's not going to stop your stains.
Go with what you know.
It's going to stop like nicotine coming from through your latex paint. That's what it's made for. Don't buy it for your furniture. Yeah, exactly. Go with what you know. I know that this stuff is going to work. I know that.
Why chance it?
I know that 2 coats of Boss. If you put your 2 coats of Boss on and you're still getting a little bit of discoloration, you can put a 3rd coat on too. I usually will put Boss on until it stops discoloring. If my Boss is discoloring, my paint is going to discolor. There are some that discolor Boss right away. That's not every piece, but there are those few that are like, I'm going to bleed, and they preach it loud and they tell you as soon as you put anything on it. And those can sometimes need an extra coat. So, my lesson for today, prime your whites. That's what it comes down to. Yellowing is not coming from your clear coat. Yellowing is coming through your paint. It's being caused by a preparation issue, okay? The clear coats themselves should not be yellowing unless you puddled it. If you puddled it, it can yellow a little bit. And that's ever so slight. That's a totally different kind of yellowing than...
If you were able to get your hands on it, what's that brush you're using?
This is my Dixie Belle Mini. These are my Dixie Belle Minis. These are my favorite brushes for laying paint on. I get a smooth, even finish. They are sold out on the website right now, you guys. They are sold out, but follow my page, and I'm posting. They're coming in really small quantities because of COVID. Shed a little bit of dust right there. Just gonna get it off. They are coming in small quantities. So you can also go to the website and you can put your email address in there and it will notify you when they're in stock on the website. You guys can also find them. Some of our retailers have them right now. Some of the retailers. So even if you missed it when it was last time on the website, a retailer has probably gotten some. So you can go to the Dixie Belle website and click find a retailer and check with your local retailer, see if they have one on stock. Okay. That is my best recommendation. But I'm telling you, I brush most all of my finishes because I do multicolor finishes are brushed. I don't give brush strokes because I use a little bit of water and a good quality brush. The only thing I usually spray are my clear coats. Okay, so I'm getting all my crevices, long even strokes, and that little bit of water in there.
You know, it's really easy to tell me that you don't get brush strokes and I'm standing, you know, 10 feet back. Let's get on, let's get on in there.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, no pressure at all, right?
Sorry, guys.
Okay, I also want to say Dixie Belle is a self-leveling paint. Now, it's not a miracle worker, okay? But if you give it a reasonably good coat, here, I'll tip this up so you can see it, the sheen.
Here, hold on, because you got this all set up for me prior to, sorry, guys.
I'm trying not to touch my paint, but I'm going to go ahead and touch it. That door's
going to
flop open. Okay, so it's a self-leveling paint. This piece does have a little bit of wood grain texture. Seeing it in the light, you can see the light shining on it. If I give it a reasonably good start,
Get all in there.
Yeah, get all up in there. If I give it a reasonably good start, the paint is going to level itself out to a certain degree. Now, I can't slap it all on and then expect the paint to do it all for me.
What?
So I always say,
no miracle working?
I got to give it a reasonably good start. And I do that with water. If I need to come back and clean up my brush strokes, I'm going to spray all over this whole front right here. And then I can just come back and I can work that water back in. If I got a little bit sloppy with it, the water also helps get into crevices. So I've got like these little crevices up here. This is my first coat. It's going to take 2 coats, you guys.
Just throwing a quick little shout out. Marissa's watching.
Okay, and then I can just brush that little bit of water back in. Oh, Marissa, from your work.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, I was like,
hello.
That took me, and I was like,
hello.
Marissa.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Okay, sorry. Hi, Marissa. Sean and Marissa used to work together, guys, and she has one of my pieces in her house. An early one. She got one a long time ago, but it's really cute. Marissa likes yellow, and so it's a little bar with yellow inside. Okay, same thing. I'm going to come down here. I can put my paint on any which way I want.
With a brush.
With a brush.
By hand. Just throw it across the room.
Throw it on.
Just checking.
And then once I'm done and I've got it all brushed in, I'll just come back and clean that up. Make sure I don't have any brush strokes. And I use a really light hand when I clean up my paint for brush strokes. I'm just feathering over the top of it because I've already got the coverage I need. I'm just using that last stroke to really clean it up. So this is my first coat. I'm going to paint inside that door too, but we'll come back and do that later. This is my first coat and it looks really cute. I have a missed spot for my primer down there.
So disappointed.
I know. I don't know why. I'm actually trying to not get paint on my floor right now, but I just got new flooring, you guys, to put down in my workspace. I'm super excited. So
I can't wait till you hire somebody to do that.
Yeah. I'm going to hire the most efficient crew I know.
Oh, gosh.
You can't get something done, you do it yourself, right?
That's why I end up doing so much.
Okay, so I think this will be really, really, really cute. And then I can decide what I'm going to do with the top, whether I want to stain it. I'm going to add some framing around these doors here. I'm kind of unsure what I want to do. Oh, I just got an idea.
You don't have to whisper.
I do. It's top secret. Don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Okay, I just got an idea what I think I'm going to do on these doors.
I think I saw a light bulb.
Oh my gosh, it's brilliant and it's perfect with this white finish. All right, you guys. So, what's my lesson for today? Prime your whites. Prime your whites. It's going to help your paint stay white. It's going to help your clear coats not yellow. If you're seeing yellowing in your clear coats, it's not the clear coat itself. It's not the clear coat itself. It's a prep issue, or you've got puddling somewhere. Those are the only two reasons you should see yellowing in that clear coat.
So the takeaway today, bleach your whites.
Yes, bleach your drawers. Clear coats that do yellow, urethanes. Urethanes yellow on their own. They just yellow. Urethanes have a tendency to yellow. Shellac yellows. That's not your clear coat, you guys. That's not the clear coat you want to put over the top. So we're using acrylic-based clear coats. You should not see yellowing in them. Don't use urethanes. It says urethane. That means it has the word urethane in it. Polyurethane. It's a urethane. It's going to yellow.
That's it, Goldie. Preach it. Acronym PYW.
Yeah, prime your whites. Prime your whites. And I'm saying whites, but even your light colors, because it's not worth the hassle, you guys. It's not worth the hassle. If it's real wood, it's got oils in it. All woods have oils. If it's real wood, it has oils, and you don't want to even chance that it's going to come through. So just prime it first. It's that simple.
What are you going to do to the top of this puppy?
I don't know.
Let's get down to business.
I haven't decided yet. It's either going to be stained. I could put resin on it too, but I might stain it. It's already stripped down to the bare wood. All woods have oils. That's what I'm going to go back to that thought. And it's not worth even taking the chances. So it's not the paint that requires you to prime. It's your piece that requires you to prime. So a lot of people say, Dixie Belle paint says you don't have to prime. No, it's not your paint, but you're painting real wood, and your real wood requires that you prime it. So keep that in mind when you're painting. If it's not real wood, if it's from IKEA, it's plastic.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's devastating, right? I guess, I'm sorry, IKEA. IKEA does have some real wood pieces. They put out a few pine pieces in their line, now that I think about it. So you'd still want to prime those. They are real wood. So anyway, I hope that helps, you guys. Hope that helps. That's the best advice that I can give is just use your primers. Use your primers, especially for whites.
That's the best advice you got. I could have saved 20 years.
I know. It's a big waste of time, huh? Now it's cheaper to keep her, though. Sorry. I hate to be the one to tell you. I'm getting the house. That's all I know. You built it. I'm taking it.
Sweet.
All right, you guys. I'm going to get off. This is my last live tonight. I'm not coming back for another one after this. This is it. I got my whole table with a coat on it, though, so thank you guys for letting me paint this table tonight. I don't know. I'll figure out some decorative finishes, and I'm going to really cuten this one up because it's a cute little table. Shading around these squares right here. A little treatment in the middle.
Do you want my picture now? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I don't know. Maybe a stained wood top on there. Maybe a resin
drum.
pour. It is. It's a drum table. They're called, well, yeah. It's a drum
Are they
table.
really?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, I feel enlightened now. I waited the whole time.
I know.
One little tidbit at the end.
You got 2 tidbits. Prime your whites.
Yeah.
Drum table.
3. Cheaper to keep her.
All right, you guys. I'm going to let you go. Happy Thursday. Have a great weekend. And I will catch you guys next week. You guys, my link is in the top of the post if you need to buy anything we used tonight, which is our Dixie Belle Boss. This is my messy container of Boss. And any of the Dixie Belle whites, we use drop cloth tonight, which is a creamy white, fluff, or cotton. All of those are available at the link in the post. You can also use those to find a retailer in your area if you want to go in and check out the paints. Okay? So have a great weekend. Good night.